Good evening, everybody. Good to see you. My name is Esther Zanambasi. I am a medical doctor by training. I love what I do in this opportunity called Neolife. I call it a family. I also consider Neolife my ministry. And because I enjoy teaching, I've really enjoyed 2022 and the various topics that come up. So I thought this evening I would do a recap of some of the topics, not all of them, but some of the topics that stuck out for me. There are others that I actually didn't include in this recap. And yeah, enjoy it. So we're looking forward to 2023, but also looking back on 2022 and asking ourselves, why Neolife? And for me, the answer to that one is that it just makes so much sense to me. Now, each of you might have your own reason for why Neolife, but I wanted to help us, to help each other to connect dots. Because you can't take things in isolation in our opportunity. You need to see how everything is interconnected and how everything works together. So why Neolife indeed? Well, one of the things is this. I've been a practicing medical doctor for over 35 years. And this was the observation that every attempt to get people to change their lifestyle was met with such resistance. And I think it continues to some extent, but following these last few months of what we have all gone through, I think people are more open to looking. So this is a good time to share what we've got and not to hold back at all, but to really go flat out and share what we've got. Now, I just want to reiterate that kindly remain muted, please, so that my recording is not damaged. Right, so yes, we have a beautiful opportunity to help people to improve their lives, but it starts with a choice. Jim Rohn said that your life does not get better by chance, it gets better by change. And in order to make a change, you need to choose to make a change. And I believe in us being proactive and not reactive. And if we wait for something dramatic or drastic or even tragic to happen before we make that change, I have often thought that that is actually not very wise. So let's make those changes while we can. The other reason for why Neolife? Well, the strongest people make time to help others, even if they're struggling with their own personal problems. All of us have problems, but you see, Neolife gives us an opportunity to help other people. And it was Zig Ziglar who said that you will get everything that you want if you help enough other people to get what they want. And that is a strong ethic and philosophy of our family and this opportunity. So 2022, I decided to really get back to basics on a lot of levels. And one of the topics I enjoyed preparing was when we looked at the history of lifestyle change and the impact it had on our health. And there was a webinar that we did when we actually went through the various revolutions, the Industrial Revolution, the Agricultural Revolution, and how we got to be where 75% of deaths these days are as a result of lifestyle and the changes that have happened over the years to our lifestyle. So we need to think, and this webinar is actually to get us to contemplate and to really introspect deeply about how we want to see 2023 turn out for us. Because things have changed and the changes are not for the positive always, because one of the things we need to remember that we are totally blessed by our Creator to give us everything virtually available to us. All we need to do is to become more intentional, become more mindful, become more grateful even for what we have, and make use of that to impact our health, rather than being stressed, as is the modern malady and the modern disease. So yes, we can, if we choose, eat more fresh food and get the benefits of lots of plant-based fresh foods, rather than waiting and carrying on with processed foods and then turning around and wondering what happened, you know, and then panicking and spending a lot of money trying to fix what is wrong. So I put this picture here because a lot of diseases happen to be as a result of our having drifted away from fresh produce and eating a lot of other things. So in Near Life, we say we have supplements, not medications, but we have food supplements. It is the world's leading nutrition company that has majored on whole food, human food, non-chemicalized foods. So throughout the year, we actually conscientized ourselves about inflammation and the fact that inflammation is necessary. It happens all the time. It is the body's mechanism for healing. It is only when it becomes chronic and destructive that there's a problem. So we need to begin to look at how the inflammation that is happening in our body is actually impacting our health. So there's two processes that we need to be aware of: inflammation and oxidation or oxidative damage. And once we understand this as a basic, everything else falls into place and you get to understand why Near Life. So one thing I have really enjoyed emphasizing and weaving it into the webinars is the fact that Near Life is a leading company as regards cellular nutrition and everything about the cell. And, you know, we shouldn't take this lightly. They were the first one to outline and speak out loudly that unless nutrients can cross that barrier called the cell membrane and get inside the cell, then if that happens, there is nutrition. Now, it is one of the only companies that actually genuinely gives us nutrition. I'm sure there are others out there, but this one has been doing it for over 64 years now. So we have everything to be proud of. And we can also declare that we trust them because they have a scientific advisory board who have studied all this. They have pioneered the way in research and development of what we now have. So this is important, to take care of ourselves, take care of yourself at the cellular level, remembering that you have trillions of cells that make you up, And those cells each have to be looked after very, very carefully and with much intention. We can't afford to be careless. Yes, so where does one begin? And everybody asks this question, what? You even have cleaning products? Well, we have a lot more. And you need to understand the synergies. You need to understand how come. Neolife was the first company to go green on the planet. And they have done a lot of conservation of the planet and of wildlife. And it is really the epitome of being good stewards, because I believe that we were put on this earth to be good stewards. Now, that's part of my story. I was looking for good cleaning products. I did not want to poison my children. That is part of my story. I felt that even if I do my little bit of looking after my environment, that little bit would count to the bigger picture. And ever since I started on that footing, obviously a lot more has unfolded for me and for our family. But I always tell people, start right here. And you know what? These products are not expensive. They are very, very valuable, but they are not costly. And if anything, you will save so much money that you can then invest it into your nutrition supplements. And that is the logic, and that is the beauty of this opportunity. This product, I hope for the new ones on the call and for the guests, you just have to experience this product. Really, it revolutionized our laundry, our washing of clothes. I used to hate washing with a lot of those other chemicals. So I did a lot of researching and reading around what we were actually doing to our bodies. And I put it into a nutshell. I put it into a little capsule that unless you change what you're washing with, you will always battle with health issues. As an example, a lot of things that we are using out there destroy our gut bacteria. And we don't want to do that. You don't really want to be destroying your gut bacteria or your skin bacteria. And Neolife has taken care of that. And so we have everything to be proud about. Yes, and so now let us discuss core nutrition. That is something that we spent quite a while discussing. Core nutrition is the answer to the most frequently asked question. When people ask, what do I give for this condition and that condition? But I just want to interject there and say, listen, we are not treating conditions. We are addressing people's needs as far as the nutritional gaps are concerned in their diets. Then the default position for our bodies, and that's how God made us, is to heal. Okay, so once we get that right, core nutrition will make a lot of sense and it will be the answer. And that's what our core nutrition looks like. I've shown you the old packaging. We now have new packaging. Again, with the environment in mind, Neolife chose to cut back on the amount of these packages that had the shakes in, and now we have something that is more easily disposable. Same weight, same shake, but different packaging. So that is our core nutrition. All 22 amino acids. It is the only product that will give you that. It has whole food-based amino acids, and these shakes are complete meals. So they can be used as either supplements or substitutes. So what I'm showing you here is what we call the breakfast pack, which is ideal as a breakfast. And I must tell you, we in this family have been using it for over 25 years, 26 years, maybe 27. And it has kept us energetic. But as time goes on, I look back and say, oh my goodness, you know, my muscles would have been wasted if it wasn't for the fact that I was intentional about supplying all the 22 amino acids. Because at my age now, that's what would be happening, and other diseases would also be cropping in. We also have core nutrition for children. Not many places will you find an emphasis on starting early and with real food supplements. And that's what we have here. And I'm very, very proud of it. My children who are now adults started with these, and now it's the grandchildren that are using them. Okay, so if you want to know what is the core of the core nutrition, that is the picture on the screen right now. You know, one thing I love about our opportunity is that there is an awareness that not everybody can start from the top. And I fully appreciate that. A lot of the times I have spoken about the need to start with the foundation. Just like building a house, you don't ever start with the roof or the walls. You always start with the foundation. So as regards nutrition, let's say somebody says, I can only manage a little bit now. This is where to start as regards nutrition. I've already pointed out that encourage them to change their buying habits and buy different detergents, different soaps. After that, they will want something nutritional. This is where to start. So this is what I call the core of the core nutrition. It is found in the Pro Vitality, and people will get the nutrient utilization efficiency increased. As a result, energy levels go up. It supports cellular health and hormonal health. Why? Because we have phytosterols, plant-based sterols, that form the foundation for every single hormone in our bodies. And that is key. That is absolutely important. And then, of course, they nourish the cell membrane to ensure that nutrients can go into the cell where they're supposed to be for nutrition to happen, and waste can leave the cell. Otherwise, a buildup of waste is where disease begins, and that's how disease begins. So beyond that, then targeted solutions can be talked about. So we always start with the core, and that is what I've just shown you, and then you can talk about targeted solutions. And those are for specific health needs. So now I'm going to talk about a few of the topics we covered, not all of them, but some of them, and I'll go in alphabetical order. This one seems to be one of the topics that we covered more than once. And allergy and asthma is very common. And if you just refer to what I've just been saying, the fact that nutrients have to go inside the cell for there to be nutrition. A lot of the reasons for allergy and asthma to happen is because nutrients float around, cannot access the cell, and then they become toxic because they rot, literally. So this understanding will get you to appreciate what we have in our hands, which is a big privilege. And then we talked about autism and attention deficit and hyperactivity disorder. That was a webinar that we had, and it is a very broad spectrum. It is actually, a spectrum, not just a disorder. Then we talked about cancer, but I approached it that time from the point of view of understanding free radical activity and what free radicals are and what antioxidants are and why we need them. So I called it, that particular webinar, I called it the backstory to cancer. And we need to learn to not be afraid of labels, but to actually address the person in front of us with the right information that can be helpful. Okay, so that's why I particularly enjoyed this one, because by understanding the role of antioxidants, you can understand the effect of oxidative stress. And if there are free radicals that are attacking cells and there's not enough antioxidants, then they will be damaged. They will be damaged. And there are other things that cause a lot of damage that we call, the things that we call free radicals, such as stress, toxins, drugs, okay? A lot of people are on chronic medication, oxygen, in the absence of antioxidants, okay? So you need a lot of antioxidants, and that's what Neolife has provided us with. So that was cancer, C for cancer. Then we discussed diabetes. We really have approached it over the weeks from different angles, which I enjoyed. We even had a guest dietitian, very, very experienced in that area. So what we need to always advise our clients is simple things like don't overeat, don't eat too much, and control the intake of carbohydrates. A lot of people use a lot of carbohydrates, hoping that after all they're on medication, it's okay. It is not okay, okay? And of course, among the carbohydrates, there are some that have a high glycemic index and some that are complex carbohydrate. We covered all those topics, which I think you might remember, but we will go over them when we look forward to 2023. And then the importance of supplements. I think with diabetes, one has to consider the fact that vitamin C is absolutely important, and other antioxidants. And then because of the effect on the nerves, one has to remember that you may need to aid your digestive system. So that's what I call digestive aids. But we have this absolute game changer called botanical balance. And it isn't just because somebody has diabetes, it is for everybody. We all need to control blood sugar to limit damage caused by inflammation. So remember that, and yeah. Then after D comes E, we covered something about electromagnetic fields or frequencies and how they affect our health. And that's when it is important to make sure that among the core nutrition, you have your omega-3, you have your antioxidants, you have carotenoid complex, and of course you have your amino acids, very, very important. Then another E that we covered was during exam time, and how the youth, whom I'm very, very passionate about, can cope with stress at exam time. Well, exams came and went, I'm sure, but the stress continues. So we need to remember our youth at all times. And then fibroids, F for fibroids. That was a topic we covered, but I want to lump it together with a few other things because we covered hormones and the effect of hormone disruption quite extensively. So we can do these topics again, I'm sure we will. And then G for gut health. Guys, everybody needs to become really conscious about the importance of ensuring that your gut is healthy at all times. And hence we did a lot of topics around it, and it keeps coming in. And one gets to understand why it's important to learn about the detox program, which we have. And yeah, so that was important. So let's just jump over to H now, heart health. Heart health is central. In fact, one of the favorite topics was called the heart of the matter. And we looked at hypertension as well, which is abnormally high blood pressure, but it can also be a state of great psychological stress. And so the heart and everything related to heart health is central to our well-being, and Neolife has a lot that it can offer, a lot of supplements, but the foundation has to be lifestyle. And so that is just a picture to show what happens when there's a buildup of lipids. And that can happen if one is eating the wrong fats and not enough of the right fats. One of the big deficiencies in modern lifestyle is omega-3, and a good omega-3. Now there's omega-3 and there's omega-3. I believe we have the best and we need to share it. And that is another one that we covered, the fact that a lot of people are gaining weight, and particularly central obesity, or what people like to call belly fat. And then as part of talking about the circulatory system, the cardiovascular system, we touched on the blood itself. And this is a common disorder, sickle cell disease. And the anemia that happens is because there's a lot of red blood cell loss because of their deformity. They live for a shorter time than what normally would happen. So that sets up a vicious cycle. Now, knowing that is one way that one can help somebody who has that condition, or knows somebody with that disorder, just knowing how to advise them on the nutrition, starting with the core nutrition. So yes, and then also part of the cardiovascular system, we did something on thrombophlebitis, or inflammation of the veins and clot formation that can happen as a result. And obviously we do see a lot of people who arrive at that state, but our emphasis should always be to try and prevent situations like that. Then let's talk about immunity. I for immunity. Nutrition is a critical determinant of the immune response, and we all should be now totally aware that malnutrition is the most common cause of immunodeficiency worldwide. If we each can become well nourished, we will avoid the ravages of immunodeficiency. We also touched on infertility, and that was a webinar with a lot of information, and it was something that we learned about. And then we talked about the lymphatic system. The lymphatic system runs parallel to the circulatory system. It is actually way bigger. It's maybe 3 times bigger than the circulatory system. And it needs to be maintained. And how do we do that? By ensuring that we exercise, because it depends on muscular pumping for the lymph to travel around the body. So yes, gentlemen, this is for you. The future holds a lot of promise, I promise you. And as we face 2023, we want to also focus on men's health. Now, after L comes M. Yes, the prostate health was talked about a lot, and that's what the prostate gland would look like. A normal one shouldn't be bulky, and it should allow the urethra, which allows urine out of the bladder, not to be compromised in any way. We are seeing a lot of prostate challenges among our men, and that is why the men really need to have a look at this opportunity so that their dream of a good life can happen. Life will only change when you become more committed to your dreams than you are to your comfort zone. So I'm being a little naughty here, but gentlemen, there is nothing wrong with you knowing this information and sharing it. Absolutely nothing. And if it means changing the washing powder in your house so that you avoid prostate problems, so be it, okay? Let's not sit in our comfort zones and say, no, we are not going to change. So the other thing we covered was sarcopenia. If you remember, that's loss of muscle mass, sarcopenia. It is age-related loss of muscle mass, and it is something that we can slow down. It might happen, but it needn't happen rapidly. We can slow it down with good exercise, a good lifestyle of eating the right food and supplementing. Then let's talk about the skin. Yes, you know, it's so tempting to look at somebody's skin and think that what they're lacking is something to put on the skin. But skin health starts inside, and it starts with healthy cells. And that is always very important to emphasize. The skin being a large organ, they say it's the largest organ. It's the largest organ on the body, but in the body, there is an even larger organ called the endothelium. You've heard me say that, but let's talk about the skin now. The skin reflects what is going on inside. So when somebody has a skin that is particularly troublesome, that might be an indication that there's a lot of toxicity, a lot of inflammation causing organisms, bacteria, fungi that are inside. So let us take care of the skin, and Neolife has given us an amazing skincare range, 100% organic. It will give you a glowing skin. It is for men and women and children. Everybody can use this. But remember, it is used on the foundation of a good nutrition and toxic-free environment. And that is why Neolife. We are all about helping friends and family to connect the dots. And one of the things that, as we wind down this year, you know, your mind will always believe everything you tell it. So if you tell it that you can do this, you will do it. If you tell it the positive, that everybody you share this opportunity with gets started, they will get started, okay? So feed it hope, feed your mind truth, and feed it with love. We are a family on a mission to make the world a healthier and happier place. It starts with each one of you. And so I wish you all well, a blessed time as you take a few days rest, but don't stop sharing your life, because that is something that is non-stop. Thank you very much. Okay, I want to actually stop the share.